Hello and welcome to my first Photoshop tutorial. I'm Luke from Uncle Corncob, and I'm going to spend the next few minutes with you in teaching you how to do the basics in Photoshop. And just because you're learning the basics doesn't mean you can do some pretty cool things, as you can see in this photo. Now to start, you're going to go ahead and click New or Control N. And make sure that the preset is under Custom, and then you're going to type in what you want the pixelage to be. I'm going to do 920 by 1080 because that's HD and I like HD stuff. So you get this white background, which is what you want. Now, when you look in the initial photo example that I have, you get this roughness behind the gradient. This is really simple to do. You're just going to go to Filter, Render Fibers, and personal preference on what you want it to look like. If you want it to be more stringy, turn down the variance, and if you want it to be more staticky, turn up the variance. I like it stringy, so that'll be good. So there we go. Now what we're going to do is do a gradient, and this is what a gradient looks like. It's a change from one color to the next. So we'll go ahead and do that. It's very simple to do. And I'm not going to go into customizing gradient maps. You're just going to use the basic one. So to start, you're going to set your foreground color to whatever you want. I'm going to do this nice light green, and then your background color, you switch this little arrow, and you will use the black. Sorry if I'm talking a little bit fast. I like fast tutorials, and I'm sure you do too, so bear with me. Then you're going to go to the gradient tool, and there are different types of gradients. You're going to use the linear gradient, and there's also radial. Radial looks like this. I'm not too much of a fan of it, so I'll use linear. So you're going to go ahead and drag. It's just a drag and drop feature in Photoshop. It's very easy. There we go. Oh, sorry about that. I forgot to add a new layer first. Make sure you add a new layer because layers will separate each effect that you give. So then you're going to go ahead and do that again. And there we go. And as you can see, you can't see the roughness that you want. So you're going to go and double click on the thumbnail of the layer, or go to blending options and turn down the opacity to 85 to 90 is what I set it at. 86. And it looks pretty cool. Now next, as you can see in the original photo, there's a text. And text is so simple to do. Just click on this little T, drag the marquee you want, and just type in your channel name or whatever. And you can select this and make this white. I like white because, I don't know, it's everything that you do in Photoshop is personal preference and what you want it to look like. So there we go. And in this, you can see this kind of simple glare, and it makes it look a little bit glossy, and I think it looks really cool. And this is it's a little bit more advanced to learn how to do, but if you follow along, you shall get it. So to start, you're going to make a new layer. You can do Shift Control N or just make a new layer like that. And then you're going to go to what is called the elliptical marquee tool, or you could we'll use this for now. And then select underneath the text, just like that. So then what you want to do is make sure you're not on the Uncle Corncob layer, but you're on the layer that you just made. And you're going to fill in that goodness. There we go. You're going to fill in this with black. Just simple. And then you're going to go ahead and go to the Uncle Corncob layer. And you're going to go to Select, Load Selection, and click OK. So when you load the selection, all you have selected is the text. So then you can go back to your ellipse layer, and you're going to go to Select, Inverse, then Cut. So then all you're left with is the glare. Now this does not really look like a glare because the glare has to be a little bit of transparency. So you can double click on the thumbnail and bring it down to, let's say, 50. That looks good. And it kind of makes it look like it's shiny, which is what you want. And the other thing that I did is I added this little glow. And the glow looks pretty cool. It just depending on what you want. So you're going to go ahead and double click on the Uncle Corncob text layer. and then go to outer glow. Now there's blend modes, and just make sure this is set to normal for now. Normal for now, because I'm not going to go into that. And pick the color that you want. I'll do this kind of tealish color, and make the spread up, turn the spread up a little bit, and the size up a little bit. That looks pretty cool. Now, before I move on, actually we can move on first. You're going to go to a new layer, and what we're going to be making in this layer is these lines. I'm not sure what the actual name of these lines are, but it's really simple to do. So to start, you're going to zoom out a little bit. So click on the magnifying glass and just go ahead and zoom out. Now, you're going to go to the shape tool, and you're going to find this shape that looks interesting. So you're just going to click on it, and you might have to do a little bit of searching, and you might have to click on this little arrow and click all. That's what I had to do. So then you just drag it across until you get that. So then you're going to go back to your Uncle Corncob layer, and or you can just bring the shape layer down, so then it's under it. And personal preference, this is what I did, is I made the transparency, I turned on the opacity just to, I don't know, just make it look a little bit easier to read. So what else? That's pretty much it. You can leave now if you want, but there's one more thing that I did that you don't have to do, that I'm going to briefly go into. Is called the Liquify tool. And the Liquify tool is a very important tool to learn. So to start, what I want to do is this little eyeball tool, this little eyeball selection will turn off the layer for viewing. So turn off everything that isn't in the text. So this is all we're left with. And then we're going to go to layer, and layer, and then we're going to merge the visible. So that basically just merged the glare and the text together. And you can go ahead and turn those back on just for viewing purposes. So now what you're going to want to do is select the Uncle Corncob layer and go to Filter Liquify, or Shift Control X. This is a very powerful tool, and I'll briefly get into it. Basically what you can do is different things, like a bulge like that, or you can shrink it down to make it, and there's plenty of things you can do. You could also twist it. I might do that just for this tutorial. And then you can bulge it out, and it looks pretty cool. It's kind of like a flag, but there's plenty of things that you can do. I'm not going to go really into it, but I'll just give you the basics. And if you make a mistake, you can click on the Reconstruct tool, and if you drag, it will bring it back to its original form, which I will not show you. So then click OK, and it should render out. And there you have it. Now, that's pretty much the tutorial. And again, yours will not look exactly like mine, because you will have your own colors and whatnot. But I personally like this one better, but, you know, I made this one a little bit different. So, it's a really basic tutorial. And when learning Photoshop, you need to start with the basics. So, yeah. So, it's just a basic tutorial, and I'm glad you guys stuck through the whole thing, and I hope you learned a little bit from this. So, thanks. Goodbye.